Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about.
This is a short introductory course on Google Forms. It is intended for you to stop, review what you need to find out, and then continue on. This is not intended to be a course that is very complicated. I made this class so that you could walk through Google Forms in one sitting easily. The first step in the process is you need to get to the Google search page. As you've noticed, there is a URL search bar in the center of the page. But what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the right-hand top corner and enter the Google Apps. Ms. Clark calls this the waffle. I'm going to assume that you are using Google Forms because you want to use it with Google Classroom. I'm going to move my picture off to the left-hand side and enter into Google Classroom. Okay, now that we're in Google Classroom, you'll see my classes for the up and coming marking period. And you'll notice up in the left-hand corner, there's a class that I made for this demonstration called Google Forms. I'm going to enter it. Now, after I've had the kids working for the week, I want to do an assessment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set an assessment using Google Forms. First, I'm going to go to Classwork. And notice it has a button called Create. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the Create button. From the Create button, I notice I have several tasks that I can do. One is assignment. Assignment is, say if I want to push out an assignment to the kids, like a writing assignment or something to watch. Quiz assignment, that's the one we'll be going into in a second. Question is if I want to ask a singular question or several questions. Right? Material is if I want to push out a video, and reuse posts is I want to use an assignment that I've made up in another class or if I've made it up in prior classes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to quiz assignment. This is how I'm going to assess my students. Now that I have my assignment in Google Classroom, I'm going to note several boxes that I need to fill out and a green button that I need to work on before I go into my quiz. So, for an example, I'm going to write down the title. Okay, please note that I named this Google Form quiz. I tend to like, and I tend to do, I will name the assignment the same thing that I name in my gradebook. So when parents or students are say, I don't know what it didn't do, it's exactly the same name in Google Classroom as it is in PowerSchool. Next, I'm going to write into the instructions. Okay, what I put in the instruction is how the kids are going to take the test. So it says here, take the quiz once, do your best. It is not timed, and you may use the internet. Now, notice I have two buttons here. I have one was called grade importing, and the other one is called locked mode on Chromebooks. If I click on this locked mode on Chromebooks, they cannot use the internet. It will only go to this quiz and this quiz only. They can't get out of the quiz until they've turned it in. And that's not what I want. I want the kids to be able to use the internet is sort of make the assessment a teaching thing instead of an assessing thing. It's all depends on if this is end of the chapter test. what I might do is I might lock them out so they can only take it on Chromebooks. Grade importing only allows them to do the quiz once. Okay. Now that again, it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to teach the kids and you want them to retake it repetitively until they get a good grade, that's probably not something that you want to click on, right? If you want the kids to just take it once and not do any more than that and have it collect their emails, then grade importing is something that you might be interested in. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the blank quiz, and the blank quiz is actually in Google Forms. Okay, we are in Google Forms. Take your hands, put them like this, go in a circle. That's a round of applause for those of you who have just built your first Google form. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna populate the form so the kids can take the assessment. I'm going to name the quiz. I'm going to give it a description, and I'm going to put in several questions. Okay, remember when I name the quiz, what I'm going to name it is the same thing that I'm going to put in my grade book for continuity. Now, what I'm doing is I'm naming it Google Form Quiz. That's the title of this quiz. Now I filled out the form description. Now I'm going to face in my first question. Now that I put my first question in, make sure you spelled it correctly. Miss Chapman would say, always spell correctly. It counts. So notice that it gives me suggestions down here for the types of answers that I might want to put in. It also allows me to choose the type of questions. So for an example, if I choose multiple choice, right, I can set the quiz up to grade that. If I choose something like short answer, I can have a single word answer, but the students have to spell it correctly to get credit. So I tend to make for Google Forms multiple choices or check boxes or drop down boxes where they choose the answer so it's easier, more easily graded. But sometimes you have to have them right, so you just put a paragraph in, and then that's going to make it so you have to grade the paragraph. So the grade that they get in response to their quiz will not have that paragraph graded into it. But for now, I'm going to choose multiple choice. And I'm going to say, is Mr. Max form class fun? And I'm going to write, oh, yeah, and an exclamation point. Now, whoops, again. I'm going to go on to the second and write not even. Okay. Now notice that it has other in there. If I put other, I can give them an option to write an answer in. I tend to not to use that because it creates ambiguity in the form. This is as far as I want to go on the technical stuff, although I do want to show you one extra feature, which is sort of neat. If you run your mouse across and you see this little picture icon, you can enter a picture in. So say for an example, this says, oh yeah, and then it says not even close, right? So I want to put a picture and attach it to the question. So I'm going to add image, right? And it says browse or drag. I went to the internet and saved two pictures. So I have one for Happy Baby. I'm going to drop that in. And then it puts the picture of the baby there. And I'm going to go over here and I have I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my other picture, angry baby. Okay, so now that's attached to the questions, and the kids can answer the questions, and when they see the pictures, they'll understand. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the answer key, and I'm going to choose what I want the answer to be. So I want to choose the answer not even close, and I'm going to give this points. I usually grade on a 100-point system, so if I'm only asking one question, I'm going to say that that's worth 100. If I ask two, then it's 50, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm going to push done. I also can add feedback to the question. So if they click not even close, I can give feedback like, yeah, right, and then save. So now when they take the quiz and they click on, oh yeah, it will give them 0 points. If they click on not even close, it will give them 100 points, and then it will feed back to them, yeah, right. Now I'm going to push done. Okay. Now there are some buttons up the top. One is for customizing. One is for preview. That's what the students see, right? And then one is for settings, and that allows you to go in and change it into like a quiz that the like a student would see. So, for an example, if you don't go into the settings and set it up so it gives you, so they have to leave their email address, you have to make one of the questions, very first question, usually, name of student. So I'm going to go into the settings button and I'm going to ask it to collect email addresses, right? And I could also push response receipts. That means that they're going to get an email when they're done of their test or quiz or assessment, whatever you wanted that to be. Push save. Now, notice it says quizzes in here. It has make this a quiz already clicked. If you unclick it, then it becomes a form that you could say, for an example, uh, ask questions, what size is your t-shirts, that kind of stuff. I want this to be an academic quiz, so I make sure that that's on. I also remember before I said I didn't want to lock the internet out on them, but I can do that from here also. This themes button is sort of neat. It lets you choose the color. You also can choose the image for the header. I tend to do that. I'll put in like for work and school sciencey stuff because I teach a science class. But I mean, if you taught like younger kids or something that needed to be a little more juvenile, there's butterflies and stuff like that. I generally choose this and insert it, and then it gives me test tubes on the top of my paper. Now, let's take a look what the kids see when they take the quiz. This I right up here is preview. I'm going to push preview, right? And it's going to give me the quiz, how the kids would see it when they select it. Okay, here's the quiz that we made. This is the Google Forms quiz, right? Notice that it took my email address, right? And when I submit it, it will submit that email address onto the form. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, and it says the first question is Mr. Max form class fun? And I'm going to say not even close, right? Now, when I submit, what it's going to do is it's going to grade the paper, and it should give me feedback also. And notice I can view the score. And note, it tells me what grade I got. Okay, so we are almost at the end. We are at the teacher part, right? This is the very last segment of this course, and it's how to get your answers out, how to get your students' assessments. There's a easy way, and then there's a hard way. I'm going to go over the easy way and the hard way, but it's very simple. Up here it says responses, and you notice that it says 1 right there. That 1 is the quiz or test or the assessment that we just took. So I'm going to go to responses. Now note, I can go through and choose individual, and it will give me the individual responses for each person. So it will tell us, this person took it at this time. I like to do the other way. I like to do it in a spreadsheet, right? A spreadsheet is easier to work with if you have 100 students or 50 students or 20 students, because it will give them all in order that they took it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push create spreadsheet, create new. Okay, you'll notice that we're in the Google Forms quiz spreadsheet. You'll notice that there's me taking the quiz. All right, I got 100, and it says not even close. Now, the nice part about this is if you have multiple students taking the test or a quiz and there's multiple questions, you can go through and rearrange your boxes, because each of them is a question, and you can mark, say something doesn't look right, or if it's incorrect, you can change it and mark it wrong and change the grade, all right, if you need to. Okay, that's it for Google Class Forms, right? Classroom Forms. If you have any questions, by all means, please give me a call, send me a text, send me an email, smoke signal, whatever it takes, and I will get back to you and help you the best I can. Thank you for paying attention. And again, if you have any questions, please give a call. All right. Bye.
Let's get ready to rumble!